StraightallDay.com.
You are now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day, to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. Dre, what is personal initiative? That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy. And we call that philosophy work on your game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is stop sneaking up on the sale. We're going to go right into the material here. I think I'm going to keep trying. We did this for a little while, and then I stopped doing it, and I think we're going to go back to it, going right into the content without me giving the other commercial pieces. You want to learn more about what we're doing and how to get involved, just go down to the description wherever you're listening to this, and you can get all the information you need. And you will hear the ads in the midst of this episode. So all that, let's get right to it. Stop sneaking up on the sale. Now, I'm going to explain to you what sneaking up on the sale means. And this is something that actually I had several other topics, several other episodes that I was planning to record here for the Work on Your Game masterclass, and I just record them basically in the order in which I come up with them. I actually came up with this one this morning, the day that I'm recording it, not the same day that you're listening to it, and I bumped it to the top of the list because it's something that is fresh on my mind, and I want to talk about this one immediately because I see so many people violating this rule, and it's really starting to get on my damn nerves. So I need to really bring this up and point it out. So we're going to address this one first, and we'll get to other topics in subsequent days. I mean, you know, the show comes out every day, so y'all know the deal. I just wanted to move this one up because I'm thinking about it right now. What got me thinking about this was actually two or three things that have happened over the last few days, over the last couple weeks, as a matter of fact, I'll say. So one of them was a company reached out to me offering some possible business financing. I'm open to business financing. And they sent me an email saying, we need you to send us this and this, some information. I sent them the information, and then the person who had reached out to me, I guess they're just like the person who is just like the appointment setter, or in the sales world, they call this person the setter. I guess they were the setter. They replied and said, thanks for this information. I'm going to have my colleague, this other person, different name, but the same email domain. I'm going to have them follow up with you. And we scheduled you for a call tomorrow at 12:30. That was the response from this person. This person sent me pretty much a cold email. I'd had some communication with them back months ago, but it pretty much dried up. They reached out to me pretty much cold and said, hey, we got some new options, et cetera, et cetera. Send us this. I sent them that. They responded with a person CC'd and said, we got you scheduled for a call tomorrow at 12:30. Well, first of all, I didn't even say that I wanted to do anything. I don't even know what they're offering me. And based on what I know about business financing, you don't really need to have a conversation. I've secured tens of thousands of dollars in business finance without even having a conversation with a human being multiple times. So what the hell are they talking about? We schedule you for a call. I don't like people doing that because I never said I want to have a call. Don't even know who this person is. And I let them know very clearly, I'm not available for a call and you can take me off your calendar. Don't do that. I just basically told them not to do that. That was one thing that happened. Second thing that happened was I was at a conference. And there are a couple of things that happened at this conference. This is a marketing and sales conference. So there's a lot of people there marketing and selling, which I don't have a problem with. I'm a marketer and salesperson myself, but there is an artful way of going about it, and there's a sleazy way of going about it. We're going to get into that in this series. And by the way, this is, I believe, a two-part series. This is going to be, take a look at my notes. Yeah, there's going to be a two-part series that we have here. So what happened at this conference? I met a guy. He was a pretty nice guy. I was at one of these exclusive lunches that they have for people who have achieved certain things at the conference. I was invited to this lunch. I'm at the lunch. And I sat at a table with some people who I don't even know. And I met this guy and he was cool and all that. We had a brief conversation. I saw him the next day at the same event. We shook hands again, talked a little bit more. We exchanged information. And he reached out to me maybe a week after the event was over when everybody was back home. And I could even pull up the text that if I can find his number. Let me see if I can find it. I don't think I saved this number. I saved his number. I didn't save his number. So no. Is this him? I think this is him. Where is his? No, that's not. He did send me a text. I'm trying to find this guy's. I know he sent me a text with some information, but it's his text is empty. All I'm seeing is his link. But anyway, I'll get to him in a second. I'll get to the other guys in a second. So this guy, he did send me a text. I know he said something in the text. I don't know. Maybe he deleted the text from his end. But he sent me a text message and said, hey, Dre, I would love to and I'll be interested in having you on my podcast, and we could talk a little bit more about other ways that we could possibly help each other. I really don't like that phrase. Let's talk about ways we can possibly help each other. This is what you commonly see in cold DMs you get on LinkedIn. I hate when people say that because all it means is they want to have a conversation where they're going to try to rope you into some type of sale. And I hate when people do this shit. This guy who I met at a conference was nice enough when I met him in person. Then he did that in text message. I never told him I wanted to sign up with anything that he's selling. I don't even remember what his business was or what exactly he's doing. And I'm definitely not getting on the call with him about that shit. Now, if he wants me to be on his podcast is one thing, but he added in that other piece that told me this guy's just going to try to get me into some type of sales conversation, and I'm not interested. So I just ignored his text message. And if he happens to be listening, or you know who you are, or if I'm talking about something that you do and I'm not specifically talking about you, stop doing this shit, because I'm going to explain this here in these episodes. The third thing that happened, same sales conference, different person I saw. So there's a guy I ran into. I'd seen him at a conference somewhere a couple of years before. He remembered me. We started having a conversation. And he knew me from, he's a little bit younger, so he knew me from back when I was posting basketball content. We talked about that a little bit. We segued into what I'm doing now. And he started asking me questions about, well, how do you get your appointments? How are you getting your leads, et cetera, et cetera. Turns out he's working for some sales company. No problem. I'm okay with somebody giving me a sales pitch. If it's any good, I might buy it. So he starts asking me these questions about how I'm doing my sales, et cetera, et cetera. And it turns out that one of his guys, basically his higher up, the next level of his sales process, that guy's walking around the floor as well. He said, hey, and he basically roped me into wanting to meet this guy. Not really. I just let him go into his pitch because I just wanted to see what these guys were offering. His approach was not really that good. This guy also used the, hey, I want to have you on my podcast thing. I gave him my assistant's email. He has yet to reach out to my assistant. It's been a couple weeks. And if he never reaches out to my assistant, then next time I see him, if I ever see him again, I'm going to tell him this right to his face. Like, yo, mofo, you said you want me to be on your podcast, and then you try to rope me into the sales pitch, and you never reached out about your podcast, which means you were just bullshitting me. Don't fucking do that shit. And this is what I mean when I say sneaking up on the sale. This is what I'm talking about. And I haven't even gotten into my points yet. So anyway, this guy, this young guy, he introduced me to his guy, was like his up-level guy. He's like the guy, I guess, who was there to close the sale. This guy was not good at all. He has a conversation. We talked for about 10, 15 minutes. He had a whole sales pitch. And again, the only reason I allowed this to go on because I'm at a sales and marketing conference. So I'm open to hearing how people do their pitches because I just want to see what they're doing. And who knows, again, maybe their offer is actually good. So this guy goes through his offer, and his offer was not unique at all. There's 100 people in the marketplace offering the exact same thing that these guys are offering. Doesn't make it bad, but it doesn't make it unique. And I told this guy this again, right to his face. I said, dude, what you're offering is, there's like 50 programs out here offering the exact same thing. I'm in 2 programs right now that offer the exact same thing that you all are offering. There's nothing unique about this. I told him that right to his face, right there at the conference. And before I even had gotten to that, or maybe somewhere in between this, he was like, well, hey, I can show you some case studies of people who are in similar lanes to you. We can get on a Zoom call, et cetera, et cetera. So we were going to schedule the Zoom call to do this. And we did actually schedule the call, but then between the time that I met him and the time the call was happening, I thought more about how that process went. I didn't like it, so I canceled the call. And his frontline guy, the guy who had came to me on the pretext of, hey, I used to watch your basketball videos, let me have you on the podcast, that guy, he reached out to me and said, hey, I just wanted to make sure we're good for the call you're scheduled with his guy later on this afternoon. So it was clear that he was on like commission. So if I ended up buying, that guy who first introduced me, he would have got paid, and his up-level guy would have got paid. And I told him, no, this is not the right offer for me. I appreciate the time, but no, I'm good. I told him that. He didn't even write back. Then when the call was canceled, the other guy, the upsell guy, he texted me. He said, I'm reading this right now. He said, Dre, it's his name with the name of their company. I saw that you declined the invite. He said, do you need to reschedule? I didn't even respond. Like, no, mofo, I don't need to reschedule. I already told him to his face their offer wasn't that unique. And I just told his man, who I know they're in connection with each other, because that man would have got paid had I bought. He's reaching out to me, do I need to reschedule? Like, no, I don't need to reschedule. And I just ignored him. I didn't say anything else to him. And what's interesting about that, one thing I will tell you, is that even though neither of those sales guys was any good, based on the stats that they told me they were putting up, which I believe, they're able to put up those kind of stats with that level of trashy salespeople that they have. Actually, they weren't trashy. They just were not that good. With that level of not very good salespeople, that means their system is actually probably pretty solid. Because if you can have average people working, but your system is still producing results, that means your system is actually pretty good, which means I'm going to keep them in the back of my mind for the future, but I'm not dealing with them right now. So I'm giving you those examples. What I just explained to you, ladies and gentlemen, are examples of sneaking up on the sale. And I hate when people sneak up on the sale. What does sneaking up on the sale mean? I'm going to explain to you now. Let me get into the points here now that I've given you some background. So point number one, topic once again here today. There's going to be a 2-part series. The subject is stop sneaking up on the sale. So I just explained to you briefly how this works. The way it works, if I just was to just give you a framework for sneaking up on the sale, and actually there's a couple other people who this happened with now that I'm thinking about it, but I won't do that here. Let me see if I can find this guy's email, because I actually have this guy saved. So here's another guy. Here's a guy, I seen him before at different events, ran into him again. We had a brief little conversation. He's a nice guy. I sent him a text. He had my number. I think I had his old number. He gave me his new number. I text him. He texts me maybe about 4 or 5 days after the event. Same thing. This is what he said. Great connecting with you at name of event. Let's get some time on the calendar to further connect. Okay. Why do we need to further connect is the first question I'm asking. Number two, why do we need to have it on the calendar? Now, see, when someone tells you, and this is what you all should watch out for. When someone tells you, let's schedule a time, let's get some time on the calendar to connect, they're not trying to connect with you as a friend. When someone wants to connect with you as a friend, they just text you or they call you. Because I'm reaching out to one of my friends, I don't need to schedule the time. I don't schedule the time to speak to one of my friends. If you're my friend listening to this and I just want to have a conversation with you, I'll just fucking call you. And if you don't answer, that's cool. I'll give you a message or I'll send you a text and you call me back and we talk when we talk. But if I'm saying, let's get some time on the calendar, time on the calendar is for business. So if I'm putting time on the calendar with a person, that means there is some type of business that is about to go down. And I know it's some type of business that's about to go down and I'm doing this intentionally. So this guy reaching out to me and saying, let's get some time on the calendar to connect. I already know what he's going to do. He's trying to sneak me into a sales conversation in which he's going to try to talk me into buying whatever it is that he's selling. And I hate when people fucking do this. And a lot of people are doing this these days. And this is why I'm pointing it out. Some of you who are listening to this are probably doing this, or you have someone teaching you to do this. I'm here to let you know that person is teaching you some bullshit. And if you are doing this, stop doing this. I'm going to tell you how to do actual sales, not this way, but in a more ethical and a more clean, so to speak, way. So the way this works, I told you I was supposed to be explaining it. You speak to a person who has something to sell. And that's fine if somebody has something to sell. I have things to sell. Nothing wrong with selling. All right, it's the oldest profession in the world. It's the highest paid job in the world. Speak to someone who has something to sell. Not a bad thing. Often you will meet this person through some intentionality that you may have shown to be interested in their thing. Maybe that's how they found out about you, or you met them at a business event or a conference or something similar. All right, so a lot of these examples I'm giving you are people who I met at some business event, or I on some level showed some intentionality to be interested in what they're offering. So they should follow up in some way. Nothing wrong with following up. Actually, you better be following up if you're in sales. So you have a conversation with this person or people, either somewhat about their thing, or it doesn't even get mentioned that much. It's just a conversation. Again, like this guy, I used to watch your YouTube videos back in the day. That's how the conversation started. Then they follow up with you, say it was great meeting with you, great connecting with you, great hearing from you. Hey, let's schedule a time to connect to see how we can quote unquote help each other out or some other benign reason. Again, I just gave you the giveaway. If someone is telling you they want to get on the calendar, that is business. Again, you don't schedule time on the calendar to talk to your fucking grandma or to talk to one of your best friend. You just call them. All right, and if they answer, they answer. They don't. You don't put that on the calendar to talk to your friend. All right, that's not the way you operate with your friends. You're asking someone to get on the calendar, that means you're doing it as business. And I'll give you one more example. And this is something that happened with a female friend of mine. She's a good person. I will say that this female is a good person. Don't know if she's listening, but she knows who she is if she remembers this situation. Actually, I know she remembers it if she's listening. She knows exactly what I'm talking about. I've known her for over 10 years. And she reached out to me, when was this? This is probably around maybe about 4 or 5 years ago. She reached out to me. I hadn't talked to her in a while. And it's not like we talk that often these days, but we keep in touch. And we had been more in touch years in the past, but we still stay in touch, still cool. We seen each other today. It'd be all great, all love, everything. But anyway, she reached out to me once. I hadn't heard from her in a few months by, I think it was either a call or a text. And she said, this was in the early days before people started doing this more overtly to where it became obvious and everybody started doing it. She reached out to me and said, hey, I haven't talked to you in a while, Dre. It was a text message or a LinkedIn message. I want to schedule a time when we can connect. Now, one thing that I know about this girl is that she is a little bit, at least she was at this time, let's say. She was a little bit mechanical in the way that she operated. So even though she was reaching out to me as a friend, and we never did any type of business together. We had talked about business, but we never actually did business. So when she reached out to me and said, hey, can we schedule a time to just connect and talk? I was looking at it as if, okay, this girl is a little bit mechanical. So if she wants to schedule a time for us to connect, I said, fine, we'll schedule a time to connect. Every night I take a walk at X time. Let's schedule it at that time. So while I'm out taking my walk, I'll have a conversation with you, whatever. That's what I did with her. And this is before everybody was doing it. So I didn't even realize that she was kind of early to the curve of this. What happened is I get on a call with her. And as the conversation starts, I could tell by the questions that she was asking and the way that she was talking. And it was maybe about 3 minutes into the conversation. It's like, yeah, how are you doing? What's up? Are you still living in XYZ? Are you still doing this, that, and the third? Just the niceties. And then finally she says something like, she asked me a question, something along the lines of like, so, hey, what's the biggest challenge that you're dealing with work-wise in the business right now? And it's not so much that her asking the question would be crazy because she and I had sat down and had conversations about business in the past. It was more me helping her with her shit, not her helping me with my shit, to be honest. So when she asked the question and just the way that she asked it, I'm like, it just didn't sound right. You never had somebody ask you a question and the question itself, the words in the question are fine, but it's just the context of the way they say it and what they say is like, and the timing of it is like, something about this ain't right. It was immediate as soon as she said it. And I kept going in the conversation because I just wanted to see where she was going with it, because this was a terrible sales pitch if she considered it one. So anyway, we're having a conversation, right? And I'm answering a couple of her questions on a surface level because I'm really just trying to figure out where she's trying to go with this. And her phone rings because what she had done is scheduled this as a Zoom, but I'm talking on my phone through her Zoom and she's on the computer on Zoom. Her phone rings, her cell phone rings. And she answers the phone while we're talking. She says, hold on for a second, Dre. I really have to take this call, because the person on the other end of the phone, she needed to actually answer this guy's call. I'll tell you why in a second. So she's talking to this guy, and there's a guy on the other end. He says something, she says something, and she says, I'm on a call. And then the guy says something, and then she says, this is a scheduled call. That's what she said. She said, this is a scheduled call. And I'm thinking to myself, again, I'm hearing all of this. She didn't mute the phone while we're talking. So she said she didn't mute the Zoom while we're talking. She said, there's a scheduled call. And I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, you and I are friends. How am I a scheduled call? And who do you need to tell that talking to me is a scheduled call? And that's when I realized what the hell was happening. She was bringing me into a sales pitch conversation without telling me that it was a sales pitch. I didn't even know what the hell she was selling. This is the slimy shit that I'm talking about. And this was several years ago. Nowadays, everybody's doing this shit. She was actually early to this shit. Now, what turns out, let me tell you what happened. And I'm going to give this girl credit, because here's what happened. About a year and a half later, I didn't talk to her for a while after that. I wasn't mad at her or anything. The conversation went nowhere. Her sales pitch sucked, and the system that she was using sucked, and she happened to be doing sales for somebody else. About a year and a half later, the same girl reached out to me and she said, Dre, hey, I don't like the way, because we've been friends for so long, I don't like the way our last conversation went. Is it possible that I can reach you by phone and apologize to you and make sure that we're cool and we're clear and all that? I hadn't thought anything of the situation back then. I just let it go, dismissed it, and moved on. But apparently it was still in her mind. So we did get on a phone call shortly after that, about a year and a half after the catastrophe that was her quote unquote scheduled call. And she told me what had actually happened. That she was working sales for some guy who has some sort of coaching program, who knows, maybe his program is amazing, but the sales process was shit, at least the way she executed it. She was working for this guy, and the way that he had taught her and his other salespeople to get sales is to reach out to people you know, ask them to get on a call with you, and then just start asking them questions about whatever's challenging them. And then based on their answers, you rope them into our shit. This is a shitty, terrible sales process. Do not do this. If any of you listen to this, do not take this as advice. All right, take this as what not to do. So anyway, this is what she was supposed to be doing, and that's what she was trying to do to me. This is kind of like what you do in network marketing. Like, you call a bunch of people you know, and then you try to sell them the shit that you're doing. And listen, I'm not even knocking network marketing. I've actually given credit to network marketing, because one of the main reasons I became an entrepreneur to this very day was my experience in network marketing when I was in college. And you can, if you want to learn more about my experience in network marketing and what I had to say about it, listen to episode 1503. I also got some videos on YouTube where I've talked about network marketing and the positive benefits of it. But this is what they try to tell you doing network marketing. But at least in network marketing, they have a much more cleaner system to where if you're my cousin, for example, right? You get into a network marketing company and you call me about your new network marketing business. I know that you're calling me about network marketing because you make it very clear in the fucking conversation. Hey, I started a new business. I'm doing this. Could you come to my event? Could you be my customer? Et cetera, et cetera. At least I know what the fuck you're saying. All right. You're not sneaking me into what you're doing. What the part that I'm talking about here in this series here today is you sneaking people into what you're doing rather than being upfront about what you're doing. Again, there's nothing wrong with selling something, ladies and gentlemen. Just be upfront about the fact you're fucking selling. All right, don't bullshit me that we're doing one thing when you're actually trying to sell me something. That's the part that I really have an issue with, and that's why I'm giving you all these examples, because they even do it to me. And I'm a fucking salesperson, so I know you're all getting it done to you, and I know some of you are listening to this, you are guilty of this shit, and that's why I'm saying it. I'm pointing it out because you need to stop doing this shit. And again, I'm only on my first point. All right, we just getting started here. So anyway, this female friend of mine, she called me and she told me what was happening and why she was doing that. And she said she eventually stopped working for that guy because she didn't like the way things are going, and she didn't like what she was being told to do because she was kind of burning through a lot of her relationships trying to do this sales thing. And she just wanted to call me and apologize and make sure that we were on good terms and all that. And I told her I didn't think anything of it, but I kept this in the back of my mind, what she explained to me, what she was doing, because nowadays, this is what everybody's doing. They are a little bit more smooth than this guy and his process was, but everybody is doing this these days. And that's why I'm bringing this up. And I wasn't even thinking about her till I started talking about it. But now that I'm talking about it, I keep coming up with times that this has happened. And a lot of people do this. And that's why I'm talking about it. So I'm going to explain more of this as we keep going. So anyway, this whole, and some of you are doing this on LinkedIn, please stop it. If you're sending cold DMs on LinkedIn saying something like, hey, our business does ABC, let me give you my link so you can schedule a time to get on the calendar with me. Stop doing that shit. If some PR company has sold you on that's the way they're going to do it for you, or that's what you should do, get your fucking money back. All right, stop doing this shit. Do not respond to people's cold LinkedIn DMs. Hey, we're in the same networks and we're connected with a lot of the same people. Let's have 15 minutes of coffee over Zoom. Motherfucker, but do not DM me that bullshit. I get 10 of these DMs every single day. My assistant shows me these DMs, these nonsense DMs from people talking about let's connect, and I don't even know them. They just sent me a connect request. As soon as we accept it, they send me a DM that says, hey, let's connect for 15 minutes over Zoom to see how we can help each other. Motherfucker, how can you help me? What can you do for me? I don't even know you. And you don't know me. So why do we need to do that? If you can help me, look at my profile, Google me. And if there's something you can do to help me, tell me specifically what it is. If not, stop sending me this shit. And again, any of you who has had someone tell you that this is the way you're supposed to do it, get your money back. And if you got it for free, get your time back. All right, there are too many people doing this these days, so much that is really annoying me. If you can't tell, I'm only on the first point. We're already 21 minutes into this. This is why I'm talking about it. I'm going to explain more why this is the wrong way of doing things. And I'm going to tell you the right way as we proceed, because I'm never going to leave you hanging by telling you the wrong way, but not telling you how to replace it with the right way. Moving on to point number 2. Today's topic, once again, stop sneaking up on the sale. All right, what I just described in detail in that first point is what I mean by sneaking up on the sale. You're sneaking up on the sale when you're talking to someone who does not necessarily understand that you are selling something, may not even know what you're selling. They have expressed no intention of buying anything, especially related to what you're selling, because they don't even know you're selling something. But because you are persuasive, maybe because you are influential, maybe because you have a relationship with that person, maybe because you are good at talking circles around people before they have a chance to kind of get their bearings, you can kind of talk them into doing something that they don't really want to do. You are able to rope people into conversations that they don't really want to be in, and or you are able to persuade people to do or buy something that they don't really want to buy just because you have the gift of gab. Now, let me be clear about something. I believe I have the gift of gab. I have the ability to talk people into shit that they really don't want to do, that I could talk them into it if I wanted to. But I have a certain code of ethics that I operate by when it comes to selling. There's a reason why I'm exposing this shit right here. Because if I didn't operate by this code, I would not tell you this. I would just do it myself and not tell you that people were doing it. I'm exposing it because I don't like when people do this, and people even try it on me. So I know they're trying it on you. If you're out there and active and you're available, especially if you're findable on the internet. And I could talk people into shit if I wanted to, but I don't like doing that. Why? Because it's slimy sales practice. It's just unethical business. It is slimy sales practice to do this, to rope people into something that they don't even know they're getting into. And a lot of you mofos need to stop doing this shit. All right, have I said that enough? I'm going to keep saying it. This has become more and more common these days. And again, even done by people who I generally, outside of this, like. People who I generally like, good people who are friends of mine. I've given you some examples. People who I've met at events and the conversation was cool. We were standing in the lobby talking. But then when they try to rope me into, let's get on the calendar and talk. What are we going to talk about, mofo? I just talked to you at the conference. What do you want to talk about that we didn't talk about when I saw you in the hallway? All right. The only thing we could be talking about is you trying to sell me on your program. I don't want to buy your fucking program. If I wanted to buy your program, I would have asked you, what's your program? How much does it cost? Let's get on a call when we both get back home. Let's get on a call so I can buy your program. If I wanted your fucking program, I would have told you that when we met. But now you're trying to rope me into a conversation about what? What are we going to talk about? It's obvious what we're going to talk about. That's what we call sneaking up on the sale. If you want to sell me something, let me know you're selling something. Tell me what it is. Tell me how it works. Tell me how much it costs, and ask me right there on the spot in front of me. Why would you let me get home and cool off, then try to sell me something? Again, this is just bad sales strategy, period. Even if I was interested. If I meet you at a conference and I'm interested in buying what you're selling, what you need to do is say, yo, let's take 10 minutes while we're both here at this conference and sit down so I can show you and explain to you exactly what we're doing and see if we can help you out. And you sell me right there on the spot. Why would you let me get all the way back home and let me run into my everyday life again and then try to get me excited again about your program? That's a terrible strategy. Where are y'all learning this shit? Who's teaching this nonsense? I don't know. There's so many people doing it that somebody must be learning this from somewhere. I don't know where you got it, but you need to send it back. Okay? Stop it. All right, point number 3. And again, this is going to be a two-part series. Today's topic, once again, is stop sneaking up on the sale. Number 3, let's be very clear. I sell things too. I have no problem with selling things. As a matter of fact, I will continue to sell things. All of you who are listening to this knows I sell things. You hear the ads on this show, right? I sell things, and I will continue to sell things. However, let me be also very clear. When I'm having a conversation with a person where my intention is to help that person by getting them access to a product or a service that I'm offering, that person knows exactly what they're having a conversation about, and there is no ambiguity. You know, okay, I'm going to talk to you about my program. All right, y'all hear me talk about Work on Your Game University. All right, you all understand there is a financial element to Work on Your Game University. Is anybody unclear on that? Now, does anybody think that it's free? Okay, nobody thinks that. All right, you understand that. That's why it's an advertisement, because I'm telling you, go take a look at it and you take the next step forward. You may not know all the details, but you understand when you go over there, there's something that I'm doing where I'm helping people out, and this is business. All right, all of you, I think all of you pretty much get that. You listen to this show 5 times, you got a pretty good idea of what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. All right, even if you can't explain it in detail. I'm not sneaking up on the sale. That's my point. I'm not sneaking up on the sale. All right, you understand that I sell things, and if I tell you, hey, go to this URL, take a look at what I'm doing, you understand that there's going to be something for sale. You don't have a problem with that. You buy stuff all day, every day. All of us buy stuff. We're all consumers, especially in Western society. That's all we do is buy shit. All right, I buy shit. I spend a lot of money buying stuff. I have no problem with people selling me things as long as you're being clear that you're selling me something. Just don't sneak into it. Now, if you're selling something, sell it. All right. As Kevin Hart likes to say it with your chest. All right, if you're saying it, say it for real. Don't sneak up on it. Don't backdoor me. Just sell me something. If you want to sell me something, I'll say yes, I'll say no. Okay, so you know that if I'm selling something, I'm going to sell something. You may not know, again, exactly what it looks like, how it works, exactly what it costs, but you're not unclear about the fact that something is for sale. I am in business. All right, if you're watching me on video, do I look like a person who does business? I'm in a business uniform. All right, you know that I sell something. If I tell you I'm an entrepreneur, it's pretty clear I'm selling something. You may not know what, you may not know how, you may not know where, but you understand something is for sale. But I will never trick you into buying something from me. All right, you will know exactly what you're doing. Everybody understand what I'm saying? And again, there's nothing wrong with selling the thing. The problem is when you're selling something to someone who is not interested in buying, which means you are simply trying to sell them, you are not giving them the opportunity to buy. There is a big difference between selling someone on a thing and giving them the opportunity to buy. And I'm going to get into, when we get into the next points here in tomorrow's episode, I'm going to get into how you actually do this and why this distinction matters so much. Because a lot of you have been poorly taught, or you haven't been taught at all. So you're just picking up on bullshit that you see some people doing that they shouldn't even be in the game. But this is the trade-off of entrepreneurship, is that anybody can get in the game. Anybody can do any bullshit that they want. Whereas in a professional organization, there are standards and systems that people have to follow. That's one of the good things about working within an organization or a bureaucracy that's not yours, is that usually they have pretty solid rules on how to do things. And usually if they last for any amount of time, they have some ethics behind it. Now, the thing about entrepreneurship is that it's the Wild West. Anybody can jump in. You can pretty much do anything you want. That's the trade-off of it, is you're going to get some people doing some bullshit when that happens. And I'm not saying we should change entrepreneurship. What I'm saying is, any of you doing this bullshit, take my word, stop doing it. Okay, whether you're the one who is doing it, whether the one who's been taught it, and if you have other people doing it to you, now you'll understand exactly what's happening. That wasn't some strange phenomenon. All right, this is a normal thing, and a lot of people have picked up on this practice, and I'm going to help put an end to it. Let me recap today's points. The topic, once again, is stop sneaking up on the sale. Again, this is a 2-part series, so tomorrow I want to give you the rest of this. Number 1, I already explained to you how this works. Is when someone brings you into a conversation, not even letting you know that they're selling something or even what they're selling, and you don't even know that you're there allegedly to be sold or to buy. And then before you know it, they're trying to sell you something and you didn't even know that's what the purpose was. That's called sneaking up on the sale. This is not the way that you do business. This is unethical, first of all. You are burning through relationships if you're doing this to your friends and family. And this is not the way you sell anyway. If you want to sell, even if you successfully sell it, this is not the way you want to sell things. Again, this is a slimy way of selling. Point number 2, again, the sneaking up on the sale is when you're talking to someone who may not even understand what you're selling, don't even know what it is, have expressed no intention, and you're just basically trying to talk them into it. And there's a lot of people who are good at this, because there are a lot of people who are very slick with their words and they can talk people into shit. This is, again, you don't want to achieve anything in life because you talked somebody into it. That's when you're convincing people of things. You don't want to be convincing people of anything. And number 3, being very clear. I'm a salesperson too, but you will never see me trying to talk anybody into things. And I've had many opportunities as a salesperson to talk people into buying shit that they didn't really need, didn't really want, but I had enough influence and persuasive powers that if I wanted to, I could have talked them into buying and got money out of them. And I don't do that because it's unethical. And tomorrow I'm going to explain to you the ethical way to getting things done. All that said, folks, workonyourgameuniversity.com. You want to learn how to actually sell and do it the right way to where people are coming to you wanting to buy. That's how you really actually sell. I'll explain that. I'll coach you on it, as a matter of fact, and Work on Your Game University. Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. Tomorrow, we get into part 2 of the series. Work on your game. Dre, all